Have you ever wondered why some painful memories feel impossible to shake off? Why, even years later, a certain smell, sound, or place can make your heart race like it just happened yesterday. That's not weakness, it's science. Trauma doesn't just leave emotional scars, it actually reshapes the brain. Today, we're diving deep into what trauma does to the brain, why it changes the way we think, feel, and react, and most importantly, how healing is possible. If you've ever struggled with overwhelming memories, anxiety, or that constant sense of being on edge, this video will help you understand what's really happening inside your brain. Before we begin, let's start with the basics. Trauma is not just about experiencing something scary or painful. Trauma happens when your brain and body feel so overwhelmed that they can't fully process what's happening. It's like your inner alarm system gets stuck on high alert. For some, trauma comes from one shocking event, like an accident, natural disaster, or sudden loss. For others, it builds slowly over time, through ongoing stress, abuse, neglect, or living in unsafe environments. The important thing to remember is this: trauma isn't just in the past. Your brain actually changes in response to it, and those changes can affect how you think, feel, and interact with the world every single day. In this series, we'll break down step by step. 1. What trauma really does to the brain. 2. Which brain areas are most affected. 3. How trauma can shape memory, emotions, and behavior. 4. The long-term effects if healing doesn't happen. 5. And finally, science-backed ways the brain can recover and grow stronger. Think of this as a journey inside the mind, a way to finally understand why trauma feels so powerful and why healing is absolutely possible. What is trauma? Let's make trauma simple. Imagine your brain like a smoke alarm in your house. Normally, the alarm only goes off when there's a real fire. But with trauma, the alarm becomes overly sensitive. It might start blaring even when you just make toast. That's what trauma does. It makes your brain and body react as if danger is still happening, even when you're actually safe. Example: a soldier who hears fireworks might feel panic because their brain links the sound to combat. A child who grew up in a tense home might feel nervous in any argument because their brain connects raised voices with danger. Someone in a car accident might feel their heart race when driving past the same street, even years later. So trauma isn't all in your head. It's real, physical, and deeply connected to your brain and body. What trauma does to the brain. We talked about how trauma is like a smoke alarm stuck on high alert, making your brain and body react as if danger is still happening, even when you're safe. But what's really going on inside your brain? Let's take a closer look. The brain under trauma. Your brain isn't one single machine. It's more like a busy city with different departments. Each part has a role, and when trauma hits, these roles get shaken up. The three main players are: 1. The amygdala, your brain's alarm system. 2. The hippocampus, your memory organizer. 3. The prefrontal cortex, your wise decision maker. Let's break each one down. 1. The amygdala, the brain's alarm system. The amygdala is like a fire alarm. It's always scanning for danger. In normal situations, it helps keep you safe by reacting quickly. But after trauma, the amygdala can become overactive. Example: imagine you're walking in the park and hear a loud bang. A calm amygdala might make you turn your head to check. But a trauma-affected amygdala might immediately send your body into panic, heart racing, muscles tense, ready to fight or run. That's why trauma survivors often feel on edge. Their alarm system doesn't shut off, even when there's no real danger. 2. The hippocampus, the memory organizer. The hippocampus is like your brain's librarian. Its job is to organize memories, filing them into the past so you can tell the difference between then and now. But trauma damages or shrinks the hippocampus, making it harder to file memories correctly. Example: instead of a memory being placed neatly on a shelf marked past, trauma memories get misfiled. They feel as if they're happening right now. That's why people experience flashbacks, nightmares, or intrusive thoughts. It's like the librarian dropped the books all over the floor, so every time you step into the library, you trip over them. 3. The prefrontal cortex, the wise decision maker. This part of the brain is like your CEO. It helps with logic, problem solving, and calming down the amygdala. After trauma, the prefrontal cortex becomes weaker, making it harder to think clearly when triggered. Example: let's say someone slams a door nearby. Your amygdala screams, "Danger." Normally, your prefrontal cortex would step in and say, "It's just the wind, relax." But after trauma, the prefrontal cortex struggles to do its job, so the panic takes over. This is why trauma survivors may react strongly, feel irrational, or struggle to control their emotions. It's literally because their brain wiring has changed. The nervous system connection. Trauma doesn't just affect brain structures, it also hijacks your nervous system. Normally, your body shifts between fight or flight when there's danger and rest and digest when you're safe. With trauma, the body can get stuck in fight or flight mode, constantly tense, jumpy, restless, or even numb. Example: have you ever felt your heart pounding during a scary movie? Now imagine your body feeling like that even when you're just grocery shopping. That's what trauma survivors often go through. So, to put it simply, the amygdala becomes too loud. The hippocampus struggles to organize memories. The prefrontal cortex loses its power, and the nervous system stays stuck in survival mode. This explains why trauma can cause flashbacks, overreactions, constant tension, or even emotional numbness. It's not weakness, it's the brain trying to protect you but getting stuck in overdrive. So far, we've seen how trauma reshapes the amygdala, hippocampus, prefrontal cortex, and nervous system. But these changes don't just stay inside the brain. They affect how we live, how we think, and how we connect with others. Let's talk about the long-term effects of trauma on mental health and daily life. How trauma echoes into daily life. Trauma doesn't always end when the event is over. The brain carries it forward, and it can show up in many ways, sometimes obvious, sometimes subtle. Let's break this down. 1. Anxiety and hypervigilance. Because the amygdala stays overactive, trauma survivors often live in a constant state of alertness. Their brain is always scanning for danger, even when none is there. Example: imagine being in a restaurant and always choosing the seat facing the door, just so you can see who comes in. That's hypervigilance. It feels safer, but it's exhausting. 2. Depression and emotional numbness. When the brain is overwhelmed for too long, it can shut down. This can lead to feelings of hopelessness, emptiness, or disconnection. Some people stop feeling joy in things they once loved. Example: a person who used to enjoy painting may feel no motivation to pick up a brush anymore. It's not laziness, it's the brain struggling to regulate emotions after trauma. 3. Memory and concentration problems. With the hippocampus weakened, it's harder to organize memories or focus. People may feel foggy, forgetful, or easily distracted. Example: a student trying to study after trauma may read the same page over and over but struggle to remember anything. 4. Relationship struggles. Trauma affects how people trust and connect. Some may pull away, fearing rejection or harm. Others may cling too tightly, seeking safety. Example: someone who grew up with neglect may find it hard to believe compliments or affection are real. Their brain has been wired to expect disappointment. 5. Triggers and flashbacks. Trauma memories don't always stay in the past. A smell, sound, or even a certain time of year can trigger the brain into reliving the experience. Example: the sound of fireworks can send a veteran back into combat memories, even though they're standing safely at a barbecue. 6. The body remembers too. Trauma isn't just in the mind, it shows up in the body. Chronic stress can cause headaches, muscle pain, stomach problems, or fatigue. This is often called somatic symptoms, the body holding on to stress. Example: a person may notice constant stomach aches during stressful times, even though doctors find nothing medically wrong. That's the gut-brain connection at work. 7. Risk of mental health disorders. Trauma raises the risk of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety disorders, depression, substance use, and even eating disorders. But not everyone develops these. Resilience and support play a big role. Example: two siblings may go through the same event, but one develops PTSD while the other doesn't. It's not about strength, it's about how their brain and support systems respond. So, long-term, trauma can echo into nearly every part of life. Heightened anxiety, emotional numbness, trouble with memory and focus, challenges in relationships, triggers and flashbacks, physical stress in the body, and an increased risk of mental health struggles. But here's the most important part: these changes are not permanent. The brain is not broken, it's trying to survive. And with healing, it can rewire itself. Let's do a quick recap before we close this part of our trauma series. We've learned that trauma doesn't just live in our memories, it actually rewires the brain. We saw how the amygdala becomes hyperactive, the hippocampus struggles with memory, and the prefrontal cortex finds it harder to focus and make calm decisions. We also looked at how stress hormones and body responses keep us stuck in survival mode. Now, here's the important part. Trauma explains what happened to your brain, but it doesn't define your future. In the next part of this series, we're diving into something powerful: healing and recovery. We'll explore practical steps, daily habits, and scientific approaches that can help the brain rewire itself, restore balance, and move toward peace. So, if this video helped you understand trauma better, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the upcoming episodes. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Which part of this video stood out to you the most? And what would you like me to cover more deeply in the healing and recovery series? Drop your answers in the comments. Your thoughts might help guide the next video. Remember, healing is possible, and this journey is just getting started. See you in the next part.